Alright, it's Ron Goodall from FightHype.com. I'm here with my man Alan Dawson from The Insider, boxing and MMA journalist extraordinaire. How's it going?
Oh, it's all good. It's another great day in Las Vegas, and yeah, starting this new format with you on Fight Hype and Believe the Hype. Nothing's more exciting in combat sports media right now.
Yo, I really appreciate you coming on here. We'll be covering a whole bunch of boxing, MMA. I know you're one of the guys that gets to cover both sports comfortably, and you're around all the guys like Dana White, from Bob Arums to, all the Al Heyman fighters. So what better way to start this, segment with a big fight, this week, and it's obviously no bigger than UFC 287 out in Miami. Alex Pereira, Israel Adesanya 2, the rematch, the grudge match, the quadrilogy. Just wanted to get your thoughts first and foremost. Is this rematch worthy? Like, is this, does this make sense?
It's always on a case-by-case basis with these immediate rematches, and when we look at this case, I think we have to look at Israel Adesanya's career as a whole, because his ascendancy in MMA bore comparisons to Conor McGregor back at featherweight, when they were just rampaging their way through a division in hardly any time at all. Adesanya taking the title, defending it, moving north to challenge at light heavyweight, but failing against Jan Blachowicz, and then rebounding with a hat-trick of wins before ultimately losing the belt to his old nemesis, Alex Pereira. Adesanya and Pereira are both from kickboxing backgrounds, albeit with contrasting styles. And Izzy has never had one win against the Brazilian, dropping 2 L's in kickboxing before that defeat in MMA late last year. And though this is an immediate rematch, which whether you're for those in combat sports or not, this one has intrigue, because regardless of Adesanya's dominance at 185 pounds in the UFC, there's just one dude out there who just seems to have his number, no matter which discipline they fight in. And it's been sparking memes that if Adesanya were to end up in McDonald's, right over his shoulder, there'd be Pereira flipping burgers even better than he could.
Now, I definitely have to, ask you, because the fights have always been extremely competitive from their kickboxing days, and even their MMA fight, it seemed like Israel was winning the fight, and then obviously he lost. Going into this fight, a lot of the bookies, I believe, have Israel as the favorite. Asking you, do you feel that Adesanya deserves to be the favorite in this rematch, going 0-3 against Alex?
No, because he's gone 0-3. It doesn't really matter what you do in the course of the fight. What matters is the result. And despite Adesanya leading on the scorecards in the MMA bout last year, seeming like the more well-rounded MMA fighter, sometimes people just have your number, and all that matters is who gets the win. Pereira has come from behind in 2 of his 3 fights in all these disciplines with Adesanya, and ultimately he's the one that seemingly always has Adesanya's number.
Now, going into this fight, there's a lot of on stake. There's definitely going to be a title on the line, and a lot of big fights. But for Adesanya, for someone who's been so dominant and held the title for such a long time, if he loses this fight, is this considered like a make or break for him to at least to another title shot?
In terms of where he is in his career right now, possibly, but not in terms of his career as a whole. There's definitely a lot at stake here for Adesanya, and it just shows how quickly the game moves in MMA, because it wasn't that long ago, thinking back before Adesanya lost to Blachowicz, that the talk was about not only could he challenge for the title at light heavyweight, but that he would win. And not only that he would win, but that he would end up going to heavyweight and maybe even giving John Jones a hell of a fight. Now all of a sudden, again showing how quickly the game in MMA moves, John Jones just completely annihilated Cyril Gane just last month, and Adesanya losing to Pereira, it's like, how far away are they now in terms of that gap? Adesanya has lost 2 of his last 5 fights. If he loses on Saturday, that's 3 in his last 6. I don't really see this as a degradation in his skill or quality. It just so happens that one of those fights was at 205. And it's really hard to be champ these days. Maybe we were sport for choice when, in one era we had Amanda Nunes, Dan Cormier and Conor McGregor, when really it's possibly more likely that we're going to see guys like Alexander Volkanovski moving up and failing against Islam Makhachev, and we're going to see Israel Adesanya move up and fail against Jan Blachowicz. That's probably what's likelier if you're going to be champ. So one of those losses was in a situation like this. Another loss or 2 losses could potentially be against this guy that just no matter what happens in the fight, there's going to be a finish, and it's just going to potentially come from behind. And Pereira might just be the guy that, you know, no matter what Adesanya's done in his career, and he's done a hell of a lot when he's spun the block, and he's lapped fighters because he's beat Marvin Vettori twice, he's beat Robert Whittaker twice. You know, he's beat highly skilled people again and again in the top 10 at middleweight. And then Pereira comes in, much like how Adesanya came into the UFC, where, you know, Pereira came in 2021, and within maybe 15 months he'd won the title. You know, this is absurd. It shouldn't really happen, and it does. And we see these guys that are just the right place, right time, right fights, and they get the title. You know, it's a great opportunity for Adesanya to show that maybe that last fight was a fluke, and he's just got to knuckle down and re-establish himself in the mindset of fans in a sport that really can be terribly fickle. It's such a what have you done lately for me sport, and if Adesanya loses again, Pereira reasserts himself as the man. Adesanya's status as one of the best at all time at 105 probably is, you know, fairly set, but maybe that's going to be in a state of flux depending on where he goes from here. But as for Pereira, if he wins, you know, how long can he keep the belt for? Because there's other well-rounded fighters who might have his number when Adesanya didn't.
Now, just to round up, you know, the fight, just any last thoughts or anything that intrigues you, or some of the fans may not know about this fight before we move on to the co-main?
I just love the parallels and the ascendancies of their careers. We don't really see, you know, fighters just come in and set a division ablaze and just walk in FS up and walk out. Like Erin Blanchfield is a really good example of a woman who's done this recently, where, you know, she's only been in the UFC for maybe 2 years at most, and she recently got a win over Jessica Andrade. And she for me, is on this ascendancy that Adesanya was on, you know, maybe five years ago, and now Pereira is on that as well. So, you know, whether you know, Pereira can do it again, it's just, you know, the rematch is deserved, and, you know, if Pereira gets it again, then it's potentially a case closed on Adesanya's run of title fights, and he'll have to rebound. You know, to be fair to him, against fighters that he's already beaten before.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to it because, you know, I'm definitely a big Israel Adesanya fan, and I think that in Miami it can't get any bigger than that.